Hey gang, it's Tim. So, quality lead gen doesn't come from mastering a single tactic. You know, it's not just getting really good at cold email or really good at SEO or really good at ads. A single tactic is not going to help you grow your agency sustainably. Lead gen success really comes from creating what I'm going to call a demand generation ecosystem. So, demand generation is lead generation plus awareness. So, ideally, people are aware of you, so when they have a need, they come to you. And when you reach out for leads, there's enough content and brand around you that they feel comfortable responding. So we need to think about how to create the entirety of your demand generation ecosystem, right? Okay, so here are the parts of a demand generation ecosystem. So there's always on, and we're going to put in there, that's going to be things like cold email, organic outreach on LinkedIn, ads. So those things that are happening regularly that are focused on creating specific contact with a desired person. There's also content, and that's inbound marketing. So that is your blog posts, your social posts, podcasts that you might appear on, podcasts that you might create, webinars that you do. So those are content pieces that show off what you know and who you are. And those drive leads. And then there are referrals and partnerships. So referrals, everybody loves a referral because it's easy and it's free and they're generally high quality, but there are ways to think about getting referrals from your clients, from the other folks that you know in your ecosystem, and about creating actual mutual partnerships that generate leads month after month. And then the last bit, the last bucket, if you will, of this demand generation ecosystem is events. Events you appear at or events that you host that show people your expertise. Now, when you use ecosystem thinking, right, you see all of these things are pointing towards leads. When you're thinking about this as a mesh of activity rather than a single channel, you don't really care if new spam filters go up, just like Gmail and Yahoo recently just increased the requirements for cold email senders, or if ad costs go up, if it's the holiday season and Facebook media costs go through the roof. You've got other places to think, or if algorithms change. You don't really care about any of those things because each part of our ecosystem feeds the other. Content creates awareness that can improve the value of outbound. Referrals and partnerships create both awareness and leads and give you access to somebody else's audience, which might actually help you fill up an event where you can show off what you do, why you're relevant, why you're the right person. So the cool thing about having an ecosystem in an ever-changing world of advertising is if one lead gen channel changes, you can just adjust your focus. You can, if ad costs go up, you can push more into content and into cold outreach. If cold outreach isn't working because you don't have the right list or whatever, you can think, okay, I'm going to bump up the ad spend and I'm going to go on 15 podcasts in the next 2 months to get out there so that when people see my ad, they may have heard my voice on a podcast and have then attributed expertise to me. Now, in a small agency, I know that it can be nearly impossible to do all this stuff. In fact, most small agencies, I don't call a small agency like anybody under 50 employees. You're thinking, oh my God, I can't do this because I have my plate full with every other thing that's going on. We don't have bandwidth to bring lead gen, in-house. We don't have the bandwidth or the expertise to be able to do this for ourselves. So you might actually be tempted to outsource the lead gen to someone else, an external agency, one of those, 400 people a day that pummel you on LinkedIn and say, hey, I can get you 40 calendar appointments this month, or you don't pay, or whatever sort of terrible thing that they're promoting this month. But listen, take a breath. That's scary. That is scary. Taking your business and putting it in the hands of someone else who can only work their process, who can only think about what they know how to do, and they cannot and do not and maybe will not stop to think about your client, your offer, your team, your positioning, your expertise, your way of thinking, your kind of clients. They can't think about any of that stuff. And that's why outsourcing lead gen often fails. I would say it fails more often than it succeeds. Now, you don't have to actually outsource your lead gen. Even in a small agency, you can get this done because your level of activity is related to the scale of leads that you need. Now, for most agencies even under 100 folks, if you had 40 sales calls a month, your delivery team would probably be crushed because you would be landing 10 to 20 clients a month, and you, I am sure, do not have the bandwidth to be able to do that. So when you're saying, I don't have the bandwidth, or you are attracted to that sort of 40 leads or 100 leads or whatever a month, you need to think about where you are in terms of scale. So you don't have to outsource this, even if you're teeny tiny. Now you're probably thinking, okay, I don't have to outsource it, but I don't know how to do it, and I am stuck. I just don't have the time, the energy, or the expertise. Well, here's how you get it all done. Number one, you set goals. Number two, you distribute the work. So if you are the founder or CEO or head of your smaller agency, you don't have to do all the lead gen. You don't have to do this. You can distribute the work amongst the team. Even if you have a small team, even if you only have 4 or 5 people in your company, and even if they're all contractors, you can still break apart the things that you need to create in that ecosystem and distribute it amongst them. You don't have to own all of that. And then, because you're going to become a great manager, you're going to work together. You are going to help that distributed lead gen team be cohesive and work together and try to target the same folks, have the same messaging, share the data that they get, all that sort of stuff. You're going to do that because that's your job as the CEO. And most importantly, you're going to track results. What's working, what's not working, what do we need to change? Now, you're probably still thinking, okay, we might be able to do all that stuff, but listen, I don't know how to set it all up. I do not actually know how to track all this stuff. How do we manage the work? What kind of content do we create? How do we do podcast outreach? How do we do this? How do we do it's a lot, right? It's a ton. So we've put together something that I'm pretty excited about, actually. It's called Creating Demand. And this is the only program, caveat that we know of. There could be ones that I just haven't run into yet. But we're going to teach you how to build your own lead gen ecosystem in-house. Now, the cool thing here is this isn't, here's my process, blah, take it, run, and go. This is not a done-for-you system that we install in your agency, but rather it's a program, it lasts several months actually, where we teach you how to create the right lead gen system for you that's in line with your skills and talents, your agency focus, the size and capability of your team, your goals, because nothing in this world is one size fits all. So even though this is part of a group program, you actually walk away from this with a terrific system that's designed just for you, because you are actually the person that built it. We are just helping you shape it, structure it, getting you started with it. Now, the program lasts for 5 months, and actually this program is going to be part of other agency coaching programs later this year, which I'm super excited about. But I want to get started right now, today. I want to get people to focus on building their lead gen, their demand gen ecosystem themselves, because this is a great time, if you're an agency owner, to build infrastructure that will generate results in the third and fourth quarter. Because it's a little bit of a slow time, but creating demand, if we work together right now and we start thinking about how to build your internal capability, even if you're running it with contractors, but the process, the output, and the expertise is going to be yours, which is super exciting. But taking some time right now to build your own lead gen infrastructure that will, honestly, it can save you thousands of dollars on courses and hiring other agencies to do this and outsourcing this or that. And it gives you the ability to control your lead flow, because you will not be dependent on a single channel, but rather you'll be dependent on this mesh that reinforces each other to build your business. And most importantly, this actually, good lead gen doesn't just generate, good demand gen doesn't just generate sales calls. It builds your authority in the marketplace. Creating content, being on podcasts, doing outbound, cold messaging, having great partnerships. All of those things build your profile. So when people who are not currently in market go into market, you already have a step up on the 1,800 other agencies that cold email them every day, because you have an ecosystem that not only builds your visibility and your authority, but it builds your opportunity to capture the demand when it's in market. So you're building awareness that attracts people to you, and when they step into market, your outbound marketing plus your content marketing will bring them to you. And that's really exciting, because that's very sustainable. Now, this is a beta program, right? Because we are launching it as a standalone later in the spring, and we are launching it with other agency coaches and consultants later this year. So in the very beginning, this is a 5-month program that is gonna fucking kick ass, honestly. But there's a beta discount. It's huge. It's like 85%. I'm only going to work with 10 agencies here, so no more, because I want this to be as good as it can be. And I have actually put together a sort of an outline of what we'd be covering. You can click on the link, but this is something that every agency needs to have the capability to do themselves. It's crucial. It's unbelievably meaningful if you have the ability to forecast what kind of engagement you're going to have, simply because you have systems in place, processes in place, owners of those systems and processes in place who can dial up and dial down, who can amp up and pull back depending on market conditions. So check out the link to learn more, and I really hope you're going to take advantage of this because I'm super excited about it.